Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Right, we are going through Mukhtasar al-Qudoori. If you guys are not familiar with this series, it's basically Hanafi Fiqh, and we have reached up to the chapter of Khiyar Ruya, which is in business and trade. So, Khiyar al-Ruya. So, Khiyar, like we said, we've mentioned this before, it means choice. Ruya, it means inspection. Right, so inspect literally means to look, right, or to see. Man ishtara, whoever purchases, ishtara yashtari, ishtara means to purchase, word has come before. Ma lam yarahu, yara is from the word ru'ya. فالبيع جائز وله الخيار إذا رآه إن شاء أخذه أخذ means to take. رده ومن باع ما لم يره فلا خيار له وإن نظر إلى وجهه. Wajh means the face. Subra, it means a heap of food. So this word has come before as well. Heap of food, pile of food. Zahir, the surface area. Matwiyan, it means folded. Ila wajh jariyati, jariya is a slave woman. Or ila wajh dabba, dabba is animal. Kafal, it's the hind legs, so it's the back legs. فلا خيار له وإن رأى صحن, صحن means courtyard, garden, courtyard. فلا خيار له وإن لم يشاهد, شاهد يشاهد to see, right, to see. بيوت وبيع الأعمى, blind person. and شراء جائز وله الخيار إذا اشترى. يسقط خيار بأن يجس, جس means to feel. المبيء إذا كان يعرف, to be known. بالجس ويشمه, smell. Okay, these kind of words, I'm sure you guys know these words anyway. يذوق, to taste. إذا كان يعرف بالذوق ولا يسقط خياره في العقار. عقار means estate. Okay, estate property. حتى يوصف, to describe. وصف يصف, so to describe. من باع ملك غيره بغير أمره فالمالك بالخيار. Okay, let's move this up. Alright, so Malik is the owner. This word has come before as well. إن شاء أجاز, أجاز to permit. وإن شاء فسخ, to void. وإجاز إذا كان المعقود عليه معقود, it means معقود عليه means the item upon which the contract has been done. So the product, the goods. متعاقدين, the two contractors, the people who are doing the contract. بحالهما ومن رأى أحد الثوبين فاشتراهما ثم رأى الآخر جاز له أن يردهما ومن مات وله الرؤية وله خيار رؤية بطل خياره. بطل means to become void. اشترى مدة means period of time. صفة is from the word wasf, which means description. متغير, it means changed. فله الخيار. Okay, so a lot of these words are pretty much straightforward. Okay, there's nothing really sort of difficult about these. Right, let's do a bit of tarkeeb then. Right, so babu khiyari ar-ru'yati mudaf mudaf ilayh. Again, هذا مبتدا, babu khiyar ru'ya. ومن اشترى, اشترى is a فعل ماضي واحد مذكر غائب. ما لم يره, ما لم يره فالبيع مبتدا, جائز is the خبر. وله الخيار, خيار is the مبتدا مؤخر. إذا رأى إن شاء أخذه, أخذ فعل. وإن شاء رده, رد is a فعل أزال. من باع ما لم يره فلا خيار, لا نفي الجنس. وإن نظر إلى وجه الصبرة مضاف مضاف إليه مجرور. وإلى ظاهر الثوب مطويا is حال. أو إلى وجه الجارية أو إلى وجه الدابة وكفلها فلا خيار, لا خيار, لا نفي الجنس. وإن رأى صحن الدار فلا خيار, لا نفي الجنس له. وإن لم يشاهد بيوتها. Okay, so new sentence. وبيع الأعمى, so بيع الأعمى وشراؤه جائز وله الخيار مبتدأ إذا اشترى. ويسقط خياره بأن يجس, يجس المبيع إذا كان يعرف بالجس. أو يشمه إذا كان يعرف مجهول, صيغة مجهول. بالشم أو يذوقه. يذوق. So this is معلوم. يذوقه. إذا كان يعرف مجهول بالذوق جار مجرور. ولا يسقط. يسقط خياره فاعل. في العقار حتى يوصف. حتى يوصف. Let me know why is it Yusufa in the comments. Let me know why Yusufa is correct and why Yusufu is not correct. ومن باع ملك غيره. Okay, new sentence here. بغير أمره فالمالك مبتدأ. بالخيار إن شاء أجاز البيع مفعول به. وإن شاء فسخ وله الإجازة مبتدأ مؤخر. إذا كان المعقود عليه اسم أو كان باقيا خبر أو كان. واو حالية متعاقدان مبتدأ بحالهما مجرور. ومن رأى أحد الثوبين تثنية ديول فاشتراهما ثم رأى الآخر مفعول به جاز له أن يرد هما. ومن مات new sentence وله خيار الرؤية بطل خياره. فاعل. ومن رأى شيئا مفعول به ثم اشتراه بعد مدة فإن كان على الصفة التي رأى فلا خيار وإن وجده متغيرا فله الخيار. Right, pretty much simple there. So let's explain these mas'alas then. That's the main thing I'm sure most of you guys are waiting for, is what is the explanation of this. Okay, so first of all, when it comes to Khiyar Ruya basically is a type of right that you have when you buy something. So remember we said in the definition of bay, it's mubadala al-mal bil-mal. مبادلة المال بالمال بالتراضي. Okay, so the key word over here is taradi. Okay, so taradi means that you're happy with it. Therefore, if there are two people and these two people were to buy and sell something, so let's say she is selling a washing machine, he is buying the washing machine, right? So he's got some cash and he gets the washing machine, she gets the cash. The issue over here is that, let's say for example, he buys and he hasn't seen the washing machine. Let's say the washing machine is packed away in a box. Okay, so the washing machine is basically, okay, so it's in a box, he can't see it. Imagine he can't see it, so it's all packed away. Right, so it's in a box and now he takes it home. Yeah, he takes it home, and when he opens it at home, he sees the washing machine. And the washing machine does not fulfill the criteria that he wants. He is not happy, right? So he starts crying. Wah, wah, wah. I'm not happy with this. So therefore, he doesn't have taradi. There's no taradi there. This is why the Sharia has given him the right to give the item back. So whenever you buy something and it does not fit the description that you were promised, then you have the right to actually give it back. That's basically what this whole concept is about. Right now, it's not just restricted to seeing something. It's actually, just like we're going to see, it's actually anything which requires certain inspection, right? So that could be seeing, that could be smelling if it's perfume, that could be tasting if it's food, that could be touching if it's like you want to buy like some clothing, right? So all of these fall under inspection. Although the title is Khiyar Ruya, this is just what they call qaid ittifaqi, right? It's ittifaq. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Man ishtara, whoever purchases, ma, that which lam yarahu, he has not seen, fal bay'u jaiz. So first of all, the transaction goes through, because if someone argues, how can you buy something you haven't seen? Will that transaction be jaiz? We say yes, it's jaiz, as long as the item has been described to you. Walahul khiyaru, and he has the right, right? Walahul khiyaru, and he has the right, idha ra'ahu, when he sees it. Right, so let's say someone sells you a mystery box with something they promised, and you open it and it's not that same thing, you have the right to return it. So insha, what is the right? Insha akhadahu, if he wants, when he opens it, he can either take the washing machine, wa insha raddahu, and if he's not happy with it, he can actually give it back and get back his lovely money. Okay, next. So when what about if a person sells something they haven't seen? So what does this mean? So let's say, for example, there's this guy. He has purchased, for example, the washing machine from this lady, and the washing machine is in a box, right? So it's all nicely wrapped up like a gift. Yeah, so he's purchased that. He hasn't seen it yet. And guess what happens? His friend, Zaid is always around, he says, I want to buy it. Can I buy it off you, please? And he says, okay, it's yours. Take it. Give me the money. So basically what this guy has done over here, what this seller has done, the seller has actually sold something he hasn't seen. Now, let's say, for instance, later on, Zaid opens up the washing machine. He finds it to be a really top of the class washing machine, really good washing machine, right? And Zaid, the seller, is thinking, oh no, I wish I had known what the washing machine was like. I would never have sold it. No, sorry, mate. You lost your right. So man ba'a, whoever sells ma lam yarahu. So this guy, if he sells that which he has not seen, so he's bought a washing machine, hasn't seen it, sells it off. فَلَا خِيَارَ لَهُ. So basically, once he sells it off, his right of the khiyar drops from that. Right? So that's the idea. In fact, there was actually a story in the time of the Sahaba where a person sold a washing machine. A person sold a garden to someone else, like a piece of land. And it was actually Uthman radiallahu anhu. And someone said, you've sold this land and it was so good. He goes, it's okay, don't worry, I have the right to inspect it. And then the other companion said, no, you don't. The Prophet ﷺ had said that the right of inspection is only for the buyer. It's only for the buyer, right? So that's pretty straightforward. The buyer only has this right. And once you're a buyer and then you sell it off, you lose your right. So your right is lost because of this. Okay, next. Now, let's say, for example, like you want to buy item. Let's say you want to buy a car. Do you have to look at every single aspect of the car for you to have the khiyar of the ru'ya? Do you have to look at the engine and all the pieces in the engine, right? How does it work? So basically, all you have to look at is what is the main purpose of that thing that you're buying, right? As long as you've looked at the thing that is the main purpose, then your khiyar ru'ya drops. So basically, if someone has looked at, you think about this, if you've got a car, if you've got a mobile phone, if you've got a laptop, have you inspected every little piece? Have you opened it up and checked every screw and every nut and bolt? No, you haven't. You probably just look at the car. You probably say, you know what? I'm just going to look at the shape of the car, right? The exterior. Maybe I'll look at the seats, and maybe I'll look at how it drives. Maybe that's all I'm going to look at. So when you're buying a car, there's certain things that you want to look at. As long as those boxes are ticked, you lose your khiyar ru'ya. Khiyar ru'ya drops. Now, if 10 years down the line, you say, oh, you know what? In the engine, there was this little piece and I just managed to see it now after 10 years, right? I'm not happy with this piece. I want, no, you can't do that. Sorry. You cannot have that. So this is why he says, وَإِن نَظَرَ إِلَى وَجْهِ الصُّبْرَةِ. So let's say you're buying a heap of food. So let's say you're buying a heap of rice. Okay, so this is, let's say, for example, rice. So if you're buying rice, do you have to check every grain? No. All you have to look at is the surface. As long as the surface is fine, right, then your khiyar ru'ya drops. You don't have to look at everything. Yes, if later on you find out that the inside of the rice is actually rotten, then you have khiyar aib. Right, you have something called the khiyar of aib, which we're going to do next time, right, which is khiyar of faults. All right, so that's something separate. Okay, what if you want to buy cloth that is wrapped up, folded up, matwiyan? So if you want to buy cloth that's wrapped up, then as long as you look at the surface area of the cloth, right? So let's say, for example, this is cloth. This cloth is just like, let's say, rolled up. And as long as you've kind of looked at the surface area, it's kind of like, you know what? This is the kind of cloth I want. You've touched it. You're happy with it. It's fine. You don't have to get the guy to open it all up and look at every thread inside of it. Okay? No, you don't have to do that. So this is why it says, إِلَى ظَاهِرِ الثَّوْبِ, to the outside of the cloth, matwiyan, rolled up. Right? Rolled up. Oh, ila wajhil jariyat. In the olden days when they used to sell slaves, you have a slave woman, and as long as you look at the slave woman's face, that's usually the main thing, because slave woman's going to be working at home, and you want to have a nice face to look at. So therefore, it was just considered to be the face. Right? The face is sufficient. Now, obviously, if you want a slave woman who has the ability that is strong, that can do more strenuous work, labor intensive work, then you want to look at obviously her body, rest of her body as well. Okay, أو إلى وجه الدابة وكفلها. You want to buy an animal, let's say you want to buy the animal for its meat, then you want to look at the health of the animal is seen in the face of the animal. So, let's say for example, this is a cow, moo, right? So this is supposed to be my version of a cow. So basically what you have to look at in a cow, or what you want to look at in a cow, if you're a cow seller, is the face and the back legs. Back legs tell you the quality of the flesh, the meat. Now, obviously, if you want to buy a cow for its milk, you're going to look at the udder. If you want to buy a cow for hard work, then you want to look at the muscular. So whatever you're going to buy, if you're going to buy a phone, what do you want to look at? You want to look at the screen, the weight of it, right? You want to look at the quality of the camera, all these things you want to look at. So that is where the Khiyar Ruya kind of fits in. So anything you buy online, if it's described in one way and you open the package at home and it turns out to be different from how it was described, then you have Khiyar Ruya. Okay, what about a house then? Right, so let's say, for example, someone wants to buy a house, a property. Now, in the olden days, the way the property used to work was like they had it was like a courtyard system. Actually, let me just draw it a bit over here. I've got a bit up. Right, so they had like, I mean, I'm not 100%. I'm not too sure exactly how it used to look in the old days, but I've seen like some pictures of old houses in the Middle East. So they would have like houses like this. Right, so you had like rooms there, you had like a roof, and then in the middle you had this kind of like courtyard area. So if you kind of looked at the courtyard area, this is known as the Sahan al-Dar. Usually if you looked at the courtyard area, you could figure out what the house is going to look like. They were all pretty much similar. This was like in the early years of Islam. So you looked at the courtyard, you kind of figure out what the house looks like, your khiyar drops. But obviously nowadays that's not the case now. Houses have become very much more sophisticated. So you would have to actually look into the rooms themselves now. Right? So you'd have to look inside of each room. Maybe the rooms are quite different. Maybe you want to look at the hallway, right? Lounge area, whatever, bedrooms, kitchen. So you want to look at all these things. Just like when you buy a house, you want to look at viewing. So he says, فَلَا خِيَرَ لَهُ وَإِنْ رَأَى صَحْنَ الدَّارِ. When a person looks at the sahan means like the courtyard of a house, فَلَا خِيَارَ لَهُ, khiyar drops. Now this is based upon the olden days, right? That's why it's very important when we study fiqh, especially Hanafi fiqh, to understand how certain masail can change as society develops. Right? And this is one of those masalas that actually changes with the development of society. وَإِنْ لَمْ يُشَاهِدْ, even if he does not see buyutaha. Buyut means rooms. In the olden days, buyut actually meant rooms. Okay, so just make a note of that. This is a common mistake students make. So buyut means rooms, all right? And nowadays, buyut means houses. Now, this is a famous masala that the Hanafis bring up, okay? And this masala is basically to do with the idea of how does a blind person buy and sell things? Because if someone's blind, let's say, for example, there is a guy and this guy is blind. Right, I don't know how I'm going to make him look blind. So let's say he's got some shades on, right? And he's got a stick. That's supposed to be a stick. Make it a bit straight. Right, so he's got a stick. Now, what happens, this guy is he wants to buy a property or he wants to buy a laptop, right? Now, obviously, when he's going to buy this laptop, or he's going to buy something, he can't see it. So does that mean that his khiyar ru'ya never drops? So first of all, is it permissible for a blind person to buy stuff? Of course it is, right? That would be unfair then. So he has a right to buy things. When does his khiyar drop? So his khiyar will drop based upon what he buys. Let's say he buys a mattress, yeah, a bed mattress. Does he need to look at the mattress? Right? So this is a mattress. Yeah, so it's more about feel, isn't it? Right? So this is going to be more about the feel, okay? So feel of the mattress. Let's say, for example, he buys, I don't know, a bottle of nice perfume. Yeah, so this is supposed to be perfume, right? So he buys perfume. So what does he have to look at there? He doesn't have to look at it. Obviously the bottle design might be one thing, but usually it's the smell, right? So over there it's going to be the smell. And what if he's going to buy a cake? Right, so he's going to buy, let's say, a nice cake. It's supposed to be a cake. I should have drawn it around, but anyway, you get the idea. This is a nice, lovely cake he's going to buy. Okay. And the cake, obviously, there is presentation in nowadays, but in the olden days, you probably just have a taste, right? So you're more after the taste. So a blind person can actually buy things, and it's simple for him to be able to work this out, right? So this is why he says, Bay'ul Amma, the trade of a blind person, selling of a blind person, and his buying are both jaiz. Walahul khiyar, and he also has khiyar. How is that? So idha ishtara, when he buys, وَيَسْقُطْ خِيَارُهُ, and his khiyar drops, بِأَن, such that he yajussa, he touches the mabi, the product, if it's something that إِذَا كَانَ, when it's an item يُعْرَفُ, which is known بِالْجَسْ, by touching, and يَشُمَّهُ, or he smells it, إِذَا كَانَ, when it is something يُعْرَفُ بِالشَّمْ, known through smell, يَذُوقَهُ, or he tastes it, إِذَا كَانَ, when it's something يُعْرَفُ بِالذَّوْقِ, when it's known through taste. Okay, like cake. Now, okay, big question now. How does he work out, let's say he wants to buy a property, right? So he wants to buy this beautiful house. The problem is he can't see the house. Yeah, so he can't see the house. How does he buy the house? So it's got a nice garden there. Okay, how does he buy this house? So there's several opinions of how he's going to work this out. But the main opinion, one opinion, is basically what he does is he's going to hire someone. He's going to get, or one of his relatives, right? An estate agent or someone. And this, sorry, this person is actually going to describe to him. So he's going to look at the property, and then he's going to describe what he sees to him. And that description will stand in place of his eyesight. Okay, so the description that the estate agent gives is going to stand in. So he says, وَلَا يَسْقُطُ, his khiyar will not drop fil aqari, in the property, because he can't taste it, he can't touch it, he can't smell it, that won't help. Hatta yusafa lahu, until it's described to him. Right, so someone's going to stand there and they're going to describe it to him, and that should be in place of this. Okay, now this is all khiyar. Ruya has all finished now. Right, now like I said, these kind of masail change with the times, and in today's times there's going to be lots of new ways that we're going to look at things, see things, smell things, and that's all going to come under our khiyar ru'ya in today's times, right? Okay, that masla has finished. Now we're going to come back to khiyar, but now he's just talking about a little masala, which is known as the fuduli masala. Have you ever heard of the word fuduli? It's a nice word, right? So let's put a line there. We'll come back to khiyar. This is called the fuduli. Fuduli is basically a non-commissioned agent. Non-commissioned agent. You know what I'm saying. Non-commissioned agent. What's a non-commissioned agent? So let's say, for example, there is this car. All right, and this car belongs to, let's say, some guy. All right, so this car belongs to this guy, and this guy, he is away, so he's not at home, and this guy, his next door neighbor, has actually got his keys, and he decides to sell the car. Right, someone's come to him and said to him, "Hey, that's a beautiful car. I'll buy this car off you for, I don't know, I'll buy this car off you for 20k, 20,000. Right? He says, it's not my car, but fantastic. Okay, I'll sell it. So he gives him the keys. He gets the money. Right? Job done? No, job not done. This guy is a fuduli. Right? This guy is a non-commissioned agent. He has not been given permission to sell. So what this guy basically does is he's acting as the seller. And he doesn't have permission to do that. So therefore, this transaction will be considered to be pending, right? So this transaction is going to be considered to be on pause, right? Until this guy, right? So let's bring this guy back into the scene then. This guy comes back from his holiday. Oh, he went to a beautiful place. He went to Spain, right? So this guy now has come back. Let's give him his old image back again. All right, so he's come back and he's thinking, what's happened to my car? So this guy says, look, someone came to buy your car. Are you happy? So let's say this trade was actually done on Monday. Okay, so this was done on Monday. And the guy came back on Friday. Friday was when he came back. So it's been paused. It's on pause all these days, right? And then Friday, this guy now has a choice now. He either allows it, says yes, okay, let it go through, or no. If he says no, then the transaction is void. He's got to give the car back. He's got to give the money back. End of story. But if he says yes, then the trade will be counted as though it happened on Monday. Right? So it'll be taken back to the event when it took place, right? Which is Monday. So therefore, if someone sells some of your goods and you find out later and you allow it, that means the trade legally would have been done on the day that he did it. Does everyone understand that? Yeah. Okay, so man ba'a milka ghayri, whoever sells the property of someone else, bighayri amrihi, right? So this guy has sold milka ghayrihi, property of someone else, bighayri amrihi, without this guy's permission. Fal maliku, then the true owner, which is this guy, has a choice. In sha'a ajaz al bayt, so he has the option to allow the bayt to go through. Wa in sha'a, and if he wishes, fasakha, he can actually nullify and void it. Yeah. Now there is conditions with this. Okay, now this doesn't, it's not always allowed. So there are two conditions with this. Number one, the first condition is that this will only be allowed if the goods are intact. So by Friday, as long as the car is still in its shape, yeah, on Friday the goods have to be intact. All right. So if the car has been damaged, destroyed, then that post permission is not allowed. And number two is the buyer and the seller have to be in the same condition. The buyer and seller, right? So they have to be, so this guy over here and this guy over here have to be in the same condition as they were, meaning alive, everything like that. So as long as these two conditions are met, then the post permission is actually considered to be allowed. So walahu al-ijazatu, and he has the right to permit it idha kana, so long as the ma'qud alayhi is the car here, okay, the item that's being contracted on. Baqiyan is remaining, wal muta'aqidani, and the two individuals, this guy and this guy, bihalihima, are in the same state. All right, so that's basically what he wants to say. Right, next, let's bring it over here. Let's make some space over here. Hopefully we should have enough space to be able to explain this one. Right, so you guys enjoying trade? Do you guys like it? I really enjoy it. I don't know about you guys, but I really, really enjoy trade. All right, so next, let's say, for example, there's this guy. He has purchased from the seller. So this is the seller. So what he's basically purchased is, he's purchased, let's say, I don't know, 2 jackets. Yeah, 2 jackets times 2. Okay. So he's seen one of them. So one of them he's seen, right, when he purchased it, but the other one he hasn't seen yet. The other one he sees later, right? So he sees the other one later. So for example, let's say this happens on, the trade happens on Monday. So Monday he's seen, let's say, A and B. So Monday he saw A, and then let's say Friday he saw B. Right? He opened the package, he saw it, and he wasn't happy with this later one. So if he's not happy with B on Friday, does he just give the B back? Does he just give B back and keep A and get a partial refund? No, right? So he either has to keep both or give back both. Keep both or give both. Right? He can't have a partial refund. He gets a full refund or no refund. Right? There's no in between. So man ra'a ahad al-thawbayn, whoever has seen one of 2 cloths, right, over here. Fashtarahuma, and then he purchases it. Thumma ra'a al-akhar, and then he sees the other one later, B he sees. Jaza lahu an yaruddahuma, right? It's permissible for him to give both back, meaning he has to give both back. He can't keep one and not the other. Yeah. So in other words, this is where it's connected to that. So this is in one contract. Okay, he's bought both, by the way, in one contract. So he bought them both for, let's say, I don't know, £20, right? So both. But if he bought them for different prices, then he can give the other one back. So if he bought A for, let's say, for £5 and he bought B for £15, then he can obviously give them back because there's 2 items in the contract now, right? There's 2 items. It's itemized. There's 2 items and 2 are separate, 2 separate contracts. Whereas if he bought it for one price, there's only one contract, right? Okay, now what if happens if, let's say for example, a guy who has taken khiyar, he dies. Yeah, so RIP. He's got khiyar, he hasn't seen the item yet, it's in the box, right? It's packaged away. The washing machine is, he hasn't seen it yet. And what happens is he dies. So he dies now. Does it go down to his heirs? So now his children, let's say he's got a son, he's got a daughter. Does the right now transfer onto them? No, it doesn't. Right? The right is lost. The item now becomes his as soon as he dies. This item now has become his, and they're gonna inherit the item, but they're not gonna inherit the right of khiyar. So man mata, whoever dies, walahul khiyar ru'ya, and he has the khiyar ru'ya, batala khiyaruhu, his khiyar drops. Yeah. Okay. Finally, last masala now. Right, last masala, and then we are done. Okay, let's try to make this as easy as possible to understand. Right, so let's say for instance, there are two friends, and let's say in the year 2021, she has a laptop, okay, and she has said, look, I've got a laptop, do you like it? He goes, it's so nice, mashallah, excellent. Right, fast forward now to 2022. Okay, fast forward 2022. Right, she says, you know that laptop that I had in 2021? And he says, yeah, I remember that. She says, do you want to buy it? And he says, yes, I'll buy it. Yes, I'll buy it. Now he's seen it, hasn't he? Right. So now in 2022, if he was to receive the laptop in a box, let's say it's in a laptop box, he receives it. So this is the laptop. Then does he still have khiyar ru'ya or not? So the rule is this: as long as it hasn't changed, right? As long as it has not changed, if it has not changed, then he does not have khiyar ru'ya because he's already seen it. But if it has changed, meaning that when he opens the box, he says, this isn't the one that I saw. Look, you've changed this, then he has khiyar ru'ya again. So let's look at this then. Man ra'a shay'an, whoever sees something. So this guy in 2021, he saw the laptop. ثم اشتراه, then he bought it after a period of time. He bought it in 2022. فإن كان على الصفة, if it's on that same description التي رآه, which he saw, فلا خيار, so he has not changed. فلا خيار, then he has no new khiyar. وإن وجده متغيرا, but if he finds it to be changed, متغير, تغير يتغير متغيرا, فله الخيار, then he has the right. And there you go. That is basically what this whole masala is all about. Right, so let's now just have some questions for you guys. Let's see if you guys can answer some nice, beautiful questions. Right, first of all, what is khiyar ru'ya? The answer: khiyar ru'ya is where a person has the right to inspect an item and find it according to what he was expecting. Right, so taradi. Does a person who has sold an item have khiyar ru'ya? No, a person who has sold an item, who has purchased something and hasn't seen it and sells it on, he does not have khiyar ru'ya, he loses khiyar ru'ya. What's the dalil for this? The dalil for this is in the incident of the Sahaba, Uthman radiallahu anhu. He bought a piece of land that he hasn't seen, sells it on, he loses the right. Okay, how much of the item do you have to look at for your khiyar to drop? So it all depends on the purpose. As long as the purpose has been fulfilled, then that much inspection suffices. So for example, if you're going to buy a heap of rice, just look at the surface. If you're going to buy a rolled piece of cloth and there's nothing special inside of it, you just look at the surface of the cloth. If you're going to buy a slave woman, it's just a face. If you're going to buy an animal for its flesh, then you look at the face of the animal and the hind legs. And like we said, whatever you're going to buy, you need to inspect it enough that you're happy with it. Okay, what if you buy a house? If you buy a house, then you just have to look at the courtyard. That is considered to be sufficient. That's in the olden days. And what about a blind person? Can a blind person buy? Yes. Can he sell? Yes. Does he have khiyar ru'ya? Yes. But how does he have khiyar ru'ya? How does it drop? Well, it depends what he's buying. If he buys something that is touched, like cloth or material or mattress, it's touch. His touch will identify the khiyar. And if it's something to smell, like perfume, then its smell is enough. If it's to taste is enough, like a cake. But what about if he buys a property? So if he buys a property, then we said that the property has to be described to him, right? So as long as someone else, external, a seeing person, can describe it, that's sufficient. Okay, are you allowed to sell something that doesn't belong to you? Technically you can. You'll be called a fuduli, a non-commissioned agent, but the sale does not go through until the true owner allows it or disallows it, right? And what's the conditions? 2 conditions. Number 1 is that the item has to be intact on the day of permission, and number 2, the 2 people that did the original contract have to still be alive and well. Okay, if a person buys 2 items in one contract, sees one of them but hasn't seen the other, does he have khiyar ru'ya for the other? Yes, he does. And if he's not happy with it, he gives it both back. Or what if a person has khiyar ru'ya and they die? Does it get transferred to their heirs? No, it doesn't. Right? It doesn't get transferred. And what if a person's seen something in the past, long time ago, and now wants to buy it? Do they still have khiyar ru'ya, a new khiyar ru'ya? No, they don't. But if it has changed, then they do. Khalas. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. Jazakumullah khair for watching. And if you have any questions, any suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. And also, thank you for watching all these videos up to here. Mashallah, it means a lot to me as well. Thank you to all my patrons who are beautiful supporters of my channel. I've been supporting my channel for so many years. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward all of you. I would really like if you guys support my channel. It means so much to me because it's not an easy job to try and make these videos on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. It takes a lot of time out of my time, and any support you guys show honestly means a lot to me. It's a sadaqah jariyah. It's for the sake of Allah. End of the day, it's something for the ummah. It's free of charge videos that have been made. So if you guys can support my channel, or you know someone who can support my channel, please details in the description below. And I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.